Are we live?
You're live at last.
We're live at last. Can everybody see me? I'm sorry for being late. We were having real problems with... I was trying to film it through the tablet and I've realised the live app isn't on my tablet. Oh, well, anyway, besides the point. So we're live. So somebody let me know if you can see me before we carry on. Has anybody popped up yet, David?
Yeah, Sandy.
Oh, Sandy.
Mary.
Was it be Sandy Shaw?
Just people waving, so just carry on.
Mary, okay, right. So, everybody keeps asking me constantly about, do you bake the stuff yourself and do you do this, do you do that? Well, yes I do, because I completely refuse to have anything that is store-bought. I can't abide
Amia likes your
food.
hair.
Thank you, Amia. Yeah, I've changed my hair short. So I decided what I'd do. I'd choose a recipe that everybody constantly asks me. Mine doesn't work like that, and I'm going to make scones with you, and we're going to do it stage by stage, and I'll take you through every single little bit they do, because if you follow it, they won't fail. My friend Peter, he does them, and he said they come out like pancakes, and you're doing something that's wrong. So if you follow it literally. But what I'll do is, I'll talk you through everything that you sort of do. Before we do anything else, preset your oven. Mine's a fan oven to 225. Make sure it's dead on 225, not too low, it's got to be on 225. If it's a fan oven, it's 225. You sort of Google it if you're not fan, because I think it's a little bit higher or a little bit lower. I'm not too sure on that. Second thing is, I'll show you, which I have under my handy dandy little workstation. These are my Bibles. These, you see, if you look around the kitchen, David will show you down here. Show them on that shelf down there, and then underneath the island. And through in the pantry there's more, and there's more down here. I've got cookbooks, in hundreds of cookbooks. Never ever use them. I've never used them, I just like owning them. And they're all like 70s and 60s ones. These are 60s, 70s, wartime. Some recipes. These are what I cook from, and I go hysterical if they go missing. We'll move those out the way. The other thing is this. This is my cookbook. This is every single recipe from magazine articles, things I've written down, all the old recipe books, there's Trixo ones, pamphlets, everything. And then I also write my own recipes, because certain recipes from the past don't quite work today, because certain things are different. Flour, things like that is slightly more refined now than it used to be. So this is my recipe book that I write everything down in. And this is what we're going to take the scones from. The scone recipe is a 1940s recipe. So it does work, and you can buy everything that's in it. The stuff you're going to need, I'll put these on because I'm blind. I have a food processor. I've got to use a food processor. I've got 4 food processors. This one, I quite like this. It's a bit more modern than I'd usually use. But I have to have a food processor because I can't rub flour into fat anymore because I've got arthritis in my hands. So I do everything in a machine. If you've got one, great. If you've not, you're going to have to do it by hand. Then you're going to need a good mixing bowl. This was my mum's mixing bowl. So this has been cooked in from before I was born. So it's probably 187 years old. You're going to need a cooling rack. If you've not got a cooling rack, use the tray out of your grill pan. Make sure you've got the cheese on toast off it first. Equipment, you're going to need a knife, like a nice butter knife, not a sharp chopping knife. You're going to need cookie cutters. I have drawers full of stuff like this, which is a little bit obscene and obsessive, I know, but I cook and bake every day. Good set of cookie cutters. Buy them off eBay. Don't start going to Debenhams and God knows where else. You get a set like that off eBay for about £3. It's pointless. If it's American people watching me, the cookie cutters are off eBay. These were off eBay when I lived in the States. These are over 20 years old, and at the time I think they were 80 cents for the whole thing, and you get them in Bad Best and Beyond, places like that. Timer, most important, don't use the oven timer. If you've got an oven timer, I've got one, never use it, load of rubbish. Set measuring cups. I measure, all my recipes are in American format. Today I've converted it to pounds and ounces for English people, because I would imagine there's more of you watching it than America. Set of cups, again, buy off eBay. Set of teaspoon measures. Don't use a teaspoon that you mix your tea with like these. you know, you don't use this because that is not a teaspoon, because there's a difference. You see, that one's, look at the size of that one, and then that one, so that one's a coffee spoon, that's it. You can't, you need a set of proper measuring spoons that are teaspoons. And that's about it. That's about it for your equipment for this today. Right, so what we're going to do, what are you speeding me on for?
The battery.
Oh, the battery, we might have to go on to live. Right, so into the food processor, we're going to put 8 ounces of self-raising flour, not plain flour. Right. Then we're going to do 2 ounces of shortening. You can use any good shortening or hard butter if you prefer. Butter won't give you as light a flaky consistency, so I use lard. Lard is an unrefined fat. Everybody thinks it's bad for you. No, it's not. Load of old rubbish. People didn't have heart attacks and furred up arteries 50, 60 years ago as much as they do today. That goes in your food processor. Sugar. Depending on how sweet you want them, 2 tablespoons of sugar and a little bit for good luck. If you're diabetic, like my friend Peter is, miss the sugar out and buy a granulated sugar substitute, not sprinkle sweetener. That won't work. Okay? These are your magic ingredients. You're going to now use half a teaspoon of baking soda. Just let me find the half of one. Right? So that's your half. You want half a teaspoon of baking soda, or in England, bicarb. Half a teaspoon of bicarb, and then you're going to use 1 teaspoon of cream of tartar. All again in Tesco's, Asda, everywhere like that. One thing I did forget, pinch of salt. So just take the salt. On with the lid. Just shunt that out of the way. So is everybody following that so far? You sort of, has anybody asked any questions, David? Or are they just saying ridiculous things?
Phil has just said it's just like watching Fanny.
It's just like watching Fanny. My Fanny or Fanny.
Fanny.
Now I'm trying to do this nice because it's daytime viewing and kids could be watching.
Yeah.
Right, go. Don't, if you use the food presser, do not rub your liquid in the food processor. It makes the gluten produce more, it goes cloggy and thick. Just shift that out of the way. And then that can go out of the way. Right, in your bowl. Milk. What somebody just said. Yeah, is it? Well, all the rest of you can watch the rerun then, Phil, can't you? Right, use a knife. Don't use your fingers, don't you mean? Well, all these idiotic chefs on television, we live in houses, we don't live in restaurants, so you don't do what they do. Do as I do, it works. Milk. Do a little bit at a time. For scones, it needs to be sort of sticky.
Joanne Wigg said, who taught you to cook?
Who taught me to cook? Well, to start with, bring it back up to my face while I'm talking. Who taught me to cook? Well, really, my mum. My mum was a fabulous baker, pastry and things like that. So when I was little, I was a little girl at a knee in tap shoes with bows on the front. But my mum taught me to cook, and the rest of it, I'm really self-taught. I was always good at savoury stuff. I was always fabulous at that. Baking, I wasn't. Baking was absolutely diabolical. And then about 18 years ago, when David and I met, and we lived in Spain, there was no imported products at all. And David said, "Oh, I fancy such a thing." That's grabbing on my bus. I want such thing or such thing. So I thought, right, I'll learn myself to make it. So I did. I started to make it, and then of course in Spain, I had a cookery column that was in magazines and things. So there you go, Joanne. Right. So this, show the mixture. This should be wet, should be sticky, but not wet, if you understand. If it's wringing wet, you've ruined it. Don't mess. Flour your board. If you made scones before, do not roll. If you roll, you're going to press the air that's inside it out. So you're going to flatten it to a disc, bring in, bring in. Yeah, we're following this. But Tony Lewis Condi's there, he'll be following. You want to try cleaning the house up first before you start baking. In and in. So we've done that twice, okay? We'll do it just one more time, which I don't usually do. Then in and in. Right? And then press out with your hand. Okay? See, Mary Berry's got nothing on me. If I was doing it as Mary Berry, I'd have to do it like this, wouldn't I? So, choose what size you want. So you can either do, if you're doing afternoon tea ones or things. What I meant to say was, when we'd rubbed the stuff in before we put the liquid in, if you wanted to do fruit scones, which we'll do another day, that is the point where you mix the dried fruit in, some currants, some sultanas, cranberries, whatever. We're doing plain scones because the scones that you put cream and jam in, you do not put cream, no matter what people think, or people writing into me or arguing with me, you don't put cream and jam and butter in a fruit scone. That is wrong. Okay? So I'm going to use that size. That's the next one up, so you can see. Use the bottom side. Don't use the fluted side. That's for pastry or for cookies. That one. Into your flour. Oh, and when you press it out, there's sort of a line. Have it to about the height of your line. Now this amount should do...
Joanne said, when you started to plan Christmas?
When I started to plan Christmas, I've already planned it, Joe.
And the food.
We're going to do the Christmas menus. When you've cut 5, I'll come back to you on that, Joe. When you cut 5, don't keep using the dough on a scone, because the more you've used it, it will go harder and harder and harder and harder, and it just won't be nice. So only use it twice. If you've got some left over, get 6 to 7 out of this amount.
Philco said, I've only got a small cutter, a bite size.
Bite size. Is it bite size the size of your mouth, Phil, or not? See, we've got this left, which doesn't really, but I'll tell you what we'll do, I will show you. We'll bake one with what's left, like people do, and you will see that that one, and we'll put a cross on it, so we know it's that. Right, so you get 6 out of that. Then, baking sheet, cookie sheet, lined with baking parchment. Okay, we're going to have to go on to battery. Why don't you go on to mains there, darling? Mains power's there. This is the problems we've had today with everything. Get your board and a tiny little bit of flour so they don't stick. Onto your sheet that's with baking parchment, not grease-proof paper, baking parchment. Make a little, see I can't do it with my nails, so make a little tiny indentation, don't press hard, just a tiny little one in the top. Real butter, don't use margarine, margarine is plastic, it's bad for you, don't use it. Tiny little piece on each one in your little indentation, yeah, and then into the oven. They will take about 7, 8, 9 minutes, depending. The first time you do them, don't set your timer, because every oven is completely different by the length of time it will take. So keep an eye on them, you know what I mean? Just watch them. I know in my head approximately how long it takes, and you're not going to ruin it, but don't get the door and fire it down and go, oh, they're not cooked. Just keep an eye, and they should be like a nice golden brown. And also, don't be one of these people that expects, so you're going to have to move the camera to follow with me. Don't be expecting everything to come out of your oven to all look even and perfect, because then it doesn't look homemade. If everything's all the same, oh, I didn't bake the crappy one, but it doesn't work anyway, it goes cloggy. If everything looks exactly the same, it's not homemade, is it? It just doesn't look good. There should be a rustic and a bit farmhousey and what have you. So, does anybody want to ask any questions while we've got the oven going? Sensible questions, not like where have you had your hair done or has FD ever been in this afternoon and done your hair for you. So I'm just getting a bowl to clear the top off. That's all enough. I've got to get them out. Yeah, so does anybody want to ask anything? Is everybody up to snuff? Or what?
Keeps freezing this, so...
Are we freezing again? Are we frozen now or are we back live?
It's still live, but it's freezing.
Oh, I see. So, and nobody's asked any questions yet, have they?
No.
No?
Yes, we know, Rob. The signal keeps dropping for some reason.
And I don't know why, because we're in the house. That's why. That's why we've been having a problem. Debbie said it's because the phone's shite,
Yeah.
and it probably is. Because we were trying to do. If somebody can sort of help me out on this, I'll ask a question.
Philco said, is it the same recipe with currants in?
Yeah, exactly the same recipe for currants, but when you get to the dry stage, before you add the milk, put your currants in. And I would say, again, this is why you need a set of cup measurements. For that amount of scones we've just done to the 8 ounces, you want this measure, which is, I think that one's a third cup of salt.
He said, can you put cheese in them?
Yeah, if you make them as savoury scones, mix the sugar out, take the sugar away, don't add it at all, and add around 3-4 ounces of nice grated strong cheddar, or 2 ounces of parmesan, something like that, and you can add green onions. I do them when I make biscuits to go with it. I use the same recipe, but then I add parmesan, I add what they call the hot things that I use all the time, jalapenos. I use jalapenos. I couldn't get that out then. And you just add those in at the dry stage before you add the milk. Everything else is exactly the same.
Bo McGrath.
Yeah.
Is watching from the lab.
Oh, that's nice, Bo. Dicky Shitter, can you imagine? So, we'll just have a check. Yeah. Not long. Not long! So, I will have a coffee while I'm waiting with you. Now, I thought they'd have been the most ridiculous questions, to be honestly truthful.
Billy Raymond, it's because we're in the kitchen, that's why, and it's shite reception here.
You think that's where it is, Billy? We usually have...
No, Billy Raymond said, is it your own signal or you're using the neighbour's Wi-Fi?
No. My neighbour's with Wi-Fi. Touche Turtle next door is 185 years old. He doesn't know what Wi-Fi is. He's even running the house on gas mantles, so it's not the neighbours. So I'll tell you now what we plan. The reason we're doing this is, I've left my vapor stick somewhere. Where have I put it?
On the table out
I'll
there.
just get my vapor stick. What you like battery-wise, love?
Shit.
Oh shit! See, it's all gone wrong. The reason we're doing this is because we're going to have. What I'm going to have. I'm actually going to have a blog where we do live videos. Because the trouble is with the Facebook ones, they're not going live, and Nana doesn't make any money out of it. I don't mind sharing it with you, but we're going to start doing this as a business. So I'm going to have a blog where I do all the baking and the cooking. And then I'll also do with you tips on how I get the sink to shine or how I clean my floor.
Let me stop you. Gail said, how long do you leave them in the oven for?
That's what we just said, Gail. Around between 7 to 10 minutes, depending on your oven. My oven is weird. We've lived in this house since last January and I'm still not used to the oven because it's new. It just... You've got to know your own oven. So don't leave them. The first time you put them in there, I would say 7 minutes. Approximately, and you just want them sort of like a golden brown shade, if you sort of there. So we seem to be low on battery. We're trying everything that we can. because for some reason it's phone. So.
There you go.
Right, so what we'll do is, if I'm still on it now, right, what we'll do, we will, is that charging or not?
I don't know.
Right. If it cuts off, we'll come back on, okay? And next time we do it, will be slightly more prepared. Somebody can actually tell me how I get the app on my tablet to be able to do Facebook Live on the tablet. It's telling me it should be on there, and there is no app on my tablet like my phone. And that's what I need to do. I want to do it through the phone, and then I can tell you all the rest of the stuff as well. So we'll probably, if it cuts off, we'll probably come back to you after a little while. So, you need to get your cooling rack. Don't put things on your worktops, anything boiling hot there. A nutter knows that. Spatula. Right. I don't use oven gloves. I've got oven gloves here. I hate them. You go in an oven, you're trying to do this and grab thing. Load of old codswallop. They just look nice on go. So I don't use it. As I said, we don't live in kitchens, in hotels and restaurants. We live in houses. So cook like you're in a house. So we'll have a look. And there we go. Yeah? They are perfect. And you see, as I said, no two are exactly the same. That one's gone slightly over to the side. And I was determined I was going to do it in real time with you. I didn't want to do it and stop and come back, because then I get some smart ass that's going to say, oh, she's nipped to after for them, and then she's put in there. No. So, if we're going to cut off now, we cut off. But we'll be back, and I'll try and come back to you today at some point, and you can ask questions. And that's Scones. So I hope you enjoyed it, and tune in again next week. Ciao, babies.